Do you like Batman? Do you like beat-em-ups? Do you like side-scrolling shooters? Then Batman for the Sega Genesis might be for you. Sunsoft released Batman in 1999 for the Sega Genesis. They had, at the time, the rights to make Batman games, and they made several different versions for the NES, Game Boy, and the TurboGrafx-16. The story basically follows the 1989 movie. This being an early 90s beat-em-up means that the only story that will be laid out is if you wait on the start screen long enough. This lays out what's going to happen in the game, basically covering most of the plot for the movie. There are 2 cutscenes during the game that mirror moments from the movie. There's one in the middle and one at the end. Basically, all you need to know is that you must stop Joker from implementing his plans, fight his minions, and save Vicky Vale. The game is a beat-em-up, taking place on a 2D plane, meaning the only way to avoid attacks is jumping, ducking, and what I rarely do, blocking. Batman can block by pressing and holding the B button, and will not be harmed from that direction and height you choose to block at. This means you can block when standing and when crouched, but blocking is only useful against bullets. The B button is also for attacking. When standing and jumping, it is a punch, and when crouching, it is a leg sweep. The C button is for jumping, and depending on how long it is held, it will determine the height at which you jump. Another useful jump that helps with distance is the spin jump, which can be used when you press left or right and hit the C button twice in succession. If you land on top of an enemy, you can hurt them, which makes some of the fights easier, but if you don't hit them correctly, you will get damaged. If you press up and C, you will shoot your grappling hook, and hitting C again will make you ascend, which will help you climb to different platforms. And if you want to jump downward, hitting the C button and down will do so. The final button is the A button, which will make Batman use his batarangs. They do limited damage and will knock some tougher enemies back, but they aren't infinite and will show how much you have at the bottom right of the screen. Though, they can be replenished by hitting boxes with the batarang symbol, giving you 5 with each pickup, with 99 being your max to carry. Batman has 8 boxes of health at max, as indicated by the letter B at the bottom. The letter E is the enemy health when fighting a mini-boss or a boss. When you get hurt, you can replenish your health fully when hitting a box with a heart on it. When you die, you spawn close by, starting out with 4 boxes of health and with 5 batarangs. If you lose all your lives, you will have the option to continue 5 times, and will start you at the beginning of the level. If you use all your continues, it's back to the start screen with you, where you can go to the menu and choose between having 3, 5, and 7 lives to start out with. In order to get extra lives in the game, you collect the Batman heads in boxes or get a certain amount of points. You can only get 9 lives, partly because the counter box is small and because they probably didn't want to make it too easy, especially when it has an exploit like this. This exploit can also be used for batarangs and health, but it also works for enemies. Basically, if you go back to somewhere after you've defeated an enemy or collected an item, they will respawn. This can be annoying if you fell and you have to climb back to somewhere, fighting enemies you just beat. There are 2 difficulty modes to choose from in the title screen, normal and hard. The differences are the amount of damage that certain enemies can take, which can make the boss and mini-boss fights that are already slow even more of a slow and methodical process. And this game isn't exactly easy, even on the normal difficulty. What I mean is that it can be cheap at times, especially when it comes to pits and platforming. Since the game is stiff in its movements, sometimes jumps can be hard to determine, causing plenty of accidental deaths. And a thing I'm annoyed by in certain beat-em-up games is when environmental hazards can hurt you but don't affect the enemies, as can be witnessed in the Flugelheim Museum with the chandeliers. There are also enemies that seem like there is little in the way to avoid their attacks, especially when you've run out of batarangs, making you get hit over and over again. But as you play, you might start to notice that most enemies are dumb, allowing you to kick at their shins as they attack above your head. Of course, this will change up later when they learn that they can attack and crouch. Besides the beat-em-up portions of the game, there are also driving and flying sections, which handle similarly to each other, and play like a challenging side-scrolling shoot-em-up. These are a nice change of pace and break up fighting sections well. In these modes, you can move in any direction you want. The Batmobile section is longer and has several types of enemies, while the Batwing section is short and only has a few types of enemies. You will have 2 attacks, the machine gun, which you need to tap the B button in order to shoot, and the A button uses your batarangs as 2 homing missiles that do heavy damage to enemies. If you die on these sections, they will start you off at certain checkpoints, which are quite useful when enemy attacks take so much health. Also, it saves how much health a boss has if you die while fighting it, making it easier to defeat each time you might die. There are 6 levels that will take some time to beat if your skills are not up to the test. Basically, this is a game to come back to over and over to get better at. And when you are good at this game, it is quick to beat. The graphics are well done, highly detailed, and are quite good for an early Genesis game. They give the right dark atmosphere that the Batman universe needs. Some of the environments look great, especially the Batwing stage that uses parallax scrolling. There are repeat enemies with different colors, but that's just par for the course for beat-em-ups. The music is fantastic and has the same composer as they did for the NES version of the game. It is at times brooding as well as upbeat, setting a great mood. And the sound effects are video gamey and well done. If you want to hear the sound effects or the music from the game, there is a sound test in the title screen menu. Batman is another childhood game that places in the repeat play category, probably because of the nostalgia, and because it is a pretty short game. Also, it doesn't hurt that it's Batman. There are only a few movie tie-in games that can actually say that they are good, and Batman has been mostly lucky in the video game department. This is no exception. While the game is short and doesn't offer too much in terms of difficulty, once you figure out the enemy patterns, it is a title that a Batman fan shouldn't pass up. Depending on where you look, you can find the game for under $20. On eBay, I saw one without the case go for $8.95. The links for some of these will be in the description. Thanks for watching. Any feedback on this video or any of my other videos would be appreciated. If you want to get in contact with me, message me on YouTube or Twitter. And if you want to see any of my previous work or my last reviews, click the links provided.